This is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is
Season 6 of
Pero Let Me Tell You.
Nobody should. I mean, you keep singing about a drop cheesecake. I don't know what that means.
That's a BTS song.
Oh, okay. They have cheesecake in South Korea?
They have the most amazing. What a racist.
No, that's not racist. That's
comment that is.
No, that's not racist. I don't know what the desserts are in South Korea.
Oh, right. And they're not going to have cheesecake in South Korea?
Different cultures have different palates.
Right. And they have... It's a metropolitan, cosmopolitan, international city. Of course they have cheesecake.
There are metropolitan cultural cities that don't have flan.
Stop.
That don't have flan.
Right. But cheesecake, I think, is more international than flan. Worldwide. Okay, let's not go down that rabbit hole. With that said, everybody, welcome to episode 248 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Fine, now I want cheesecake and it's all your fault.
I know, I really want cheesecake too. Well, you know what? I'll be happy with flan.
I'll take anything.
Yeah. I'll even have an Oreo right now.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And listen, do not disparage the good name of the Bisco Oreos.
Yeah, you know what? Oreos...
It is you.
Okay.
It is you.
Wait. Here's the truth. I don't dislike Oreos. I just will never go for the Oreo.
Okay, it's never like your first choice.
The Oreo flavored milkshake, the Oreo flavored cheesecake, the Oreo, the ice cream topped with Oreo.
Okay.
I'm never going to go for the Oreo, but I don't hate it. Like, I'm not going to turn away the Oreo.
Okay, if it's the only thing on the table.
Right. I'm not going to.
Okay.
But I just, I just the thing with me and Oreos is that once I discovered that the cream is not really cream, that it's like
it's oils and
just like what the same thing with Cool Whip. It's like it ruined it for me. It's a non-dairy topping. So
okay, so it's not abrazo gitano. I feel like if abrazo gitano is the only thing on the table, you're not going to have it.
But abrazo gitano, well, let's welcome again our listeners.
Yes.
Episode 248. We hope everybody had a wonderful week. We're at the end of April. It's almost May. It's Christmas. It's Christmas already. It's Christmas already. Yeah.
Did you buy your tree already?
No. I'm going to buy it early this year.
Yeah.
Arbolito. Ya hay que sacar arbolito. Remember how I always make fun of you? Well, you could hear it here in the episode.
Yes.
That I'm like, before you know it, it's St. Patrick's Day.
And
now St. Patrick's Day
almost Cinco de Mayo.
Over a month behind us. But anyway, listeners, brazo gitano, no.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You would eat an Oreo before a brazo gitano. So therefore, you like Oreos.
See, my thing with the brazo gitano nowadays is, I think it's sort of gross. Right now, nostalgic. I mean, for those listeners who don't know what a brazo gitano is, it's not the literal translation.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's
which I guess now if we had to translate it, it would actually be a Romani arm.
I don't know if it's only Cubans who call it a brazo gitano, but basically it's this roll log thing.
It's like a Swiss cake roll. Well, but no.
Well, it's the shape of it,
right?
It's the architecture is the same,
right. Yes.
But it's, I don't know, una panetela, and it's soaked in almíbar and that like syrup, and then it has, I don't even know what it has on top. It has
a bunch of fruit that don't go together.
Yeah, it's the Cuban version of a fruitcake.
Yeah, but they'll throw in like a kiwi and a pear. Like, who puts those together?
I don't know, but nobody wants a brazo gitano. I mean, I've said this here on the show before. When I was a kid, my mom, if I would be behaving badly, she would tell me, "Pa tu cumpleaños, no te voy a dar un cake, te voy a dar un brazo gitano." But then, but then growing up, I also had, I just was never happy. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because then, yes, I wouldn't get a brazo gitano, but in the alternative, my parents will buy me un cake de una
Cuban cake.
Cubano.
Yeah.
Especially, even Cuban bakeries nowadays, their cakes have evolved.
It's different. Their
cakes have evolved.
Yes.
But back when we were kids in the 80s and even in the 90s, the Cuban cake con el merengue, con...
It was always panetela borracha.
Panetela borracha con natilla en el medio y merengue. Yeah. And that would be
your birthday
cake. And I'd be like, shit, why is it that, like, at school, the white kids take all, like, this delicious cake with buttercream and I didn't know at the time that it was Publix cake.
Yes. The beauty of it, though, is that your mother does not get you a brazo gitano, but she still hasn't been able to get you the right cake.
Well, remember, my parents got me the right cake this year.
That's true.
My parents get that. I have to tell you, and I will say this to our listeners directly. I have to tell you that, of all the twists and turns that we've taken with this podcast, that has to be one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Organically came from the podcast is that our listeners actually have a vested interest
in what cake
I get for my birthday. Yeah. And if you feel that way, listeners, imagine how I feel.
It's true.
So we'll see. My birthday's only 6 months away.
It'll be here before you know it.
Before you know it.
Before you know it, we'll be celebrating your birthday.
This year, since they got me the right cake last year, I'm gonna.
Do you think they're gonna backslide?
I don't know. They're very unpredictable. I don't know.
You should ask for cupcakes to see if that throws them for a loop.
I don't know. They might bring me like Edda's mini cupcakes, which I don't hate.
But it's not what you asked for.
Right, that's not what I asked for.
Right,
so it'll be like happy birthday and this tiny little cupcake. Not even like the real big cupcake. So anyway,
Ni una muela.
We have fun and exciting news to tell our listeners.
We do.
About our next series of episodes.
Yes.
So next episode, episode 249 and hopefully 250, we are going to have our series of episodes of Pero Let Me Tell You goes
West.
Go
West.
Yeah, I was thinking of American Tail.
Oh, I was thinking Pet Shop Boys.
I was thinking Five-O Goes West on American Tail, but who am I? So, for those of you who've been with us since the beginning, as you know, in 2019, we went over to LA and we did a series of episodes as well called Pero Let Me Tell You Goes West at that time. And we had planned on doing that every year, but then there was this pesky pandemic that happened.
It's always the pandemic.
Yeah, so that kind of threw us for a loop. But,
a little bit,
we always committed to every year doing a series of episodes in LA and the West Coast. So next week we will be broadcasting live from Los Angeles, California. Yes.
From the cradle of Hollywood.
And we're going to be doing our podcast there, and we're going to be posting and meeting with some really cool people that are LA based, but are in line with the podcast. So we have a bunch of surprises. And
I will say, our LA listeners, if you hear this before we get there, because we've got a whole week to basically get back to us.
Let us know.
Let us know what we should do, if there's some place that we should go, or if there's some place we shouldn't go. Because there's always that one place that you're going to go online and it's going to have great Yelp reviews, but then you ask the locals and they're like, no. Mm-hmm. Eso es para americano.
No vayas a la esquina de Teja.
Exactly.
The food there no sirve para nada. And then you read the reviews and it's like, oh my gosh.
Exquisite tapas.
Well, that goes back to... Well, I mean, LA's different because
that's true.
LA has a huge Latin culture, but that goes back to, a few episodes back when I was talking about a listener of ours, actually, a friend of mine that he was in Baltimore and
Maryland.
And he went to a Cuban restaurant that had burritos and enchiladas and tacos.
As one does.
But they looked delicious.
I'm sure they were.
Right.
But that's just not Cuban cuisine.
They look delicious. So now that we're going to LA,
yes,
I just want to say something.
Should we refilm the beginning of the Laverne and Shirley thing, but with the LA version? When they moved to Los Angeles?
No, because we're going to need the equivalent of an ice cream truck.
Oh, that's true.
Because Lenny and Squiggy had an ice cream truck.
Yeah,
right?
and I don't think we're going to be able to find a Happy New Year 1960-something banner.
No, well, we can make that up. Yeah. But then we're going to have to also go to, like, what, didn't they go to, like, the Looney or Lone Star Saloon or something?
Something like that.
Like,
yeah.
It was some country theme.
Yes. Yeah. It was country theme.
So,
right.
Anyway... Pero that's coming up next week, so we're really excited about it. And what I just wanted to say about LA and California in general is that I prefer Jack in the Box over In-N-Out, but fight me. Anyway, so, ¿viste quién se murió esta semana?
Well, there was a couple of deaths.
Jerry Springer,
yeah. Jerry Springer passed away, Harry Belafonte, and Dame Edna.
Okay,
they always come in threes.
We're gonna get to Dame Edna.
But I'm saying they always come in threes. Yeah. It's always like whenever one celebrity dies, it's like oh.
Yeah.
Death doesn't stop. It's like Final Destination. Death doesn't stop until it's 3.
It's not like it's 2016, the year we lost
everyone.
Like every celebrity there was. I mean, if you were George Michael died on Christmas. I mean,
That's true.
It was like if you were a celebrity until that clock hit 12 on December 31st,
No one was safe.
Nobody was safe.
It was Final Destination Celebrity Edition.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Springer wasn't that old.
78?
79. He wasn't that old.
Yeah.
I think that
pancreatic cancer.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's sad. I think that, he was an attorney.
He was an attorney. He was the mayor of Cincinnati.
He was. He has a remarkable
Hell of
story.
a trajectory.
A remarkable story. And you know what's funny? That
He's British.
Yes.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah. But he's of American parents, though.
British by birth. Yeah. Right.
He, what I think is very interesting about him is that I remember being a kid, and when before his show did the big turn. If you think the big curve in the Palmetto is big, this was even bigger.
The curve was based on this.
He had very serious shows, and I remember he had a lot of shows about like the Ku Klux Klan and
he loved the Klan,
anti-Semitic, things. Yeah. I mean, these were heavy topics that they were talking on daytime television, and obviously that probably didn't bring him the ratings that it he wanted, and then he did the big turn.
Yes.
So did you like his show when it did the turn, when it started getting trashy TV?
So I think like probably,
and actually I will pose this.
Okay.
Did you like the show, and do you think that show was sort of a precursor to what eventually became reality TV?
So I'll start with the last one first. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that when it took the turn, what are you calling it? The big turn. The big curve. I think that was one of the moments when people started realizing I can be famous for no reason.
Right.
There's an opportunity for me to get out there and have my face on TV for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Essentially. So I do think that contributed to it. Did I watch the show? I think I did, I know I did, but I enjoyed it when it began, when it was a novelty.
Yeah.
Because
when you still thought it was like 100% real.
Or even if you thought it was a little fake, but he was the only one doing it.
I don't know if you remember, but I bought his
the Too Hot for TV.
The Too Hot for TV.
I do. Wow, I totally forgot about that.
It's so funny because that's
so not a thing you would buy.
That's so not a thing I would buy, but
okay, but knowing you still have that somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, I have it in my parents' house. Of course I do.
Okay.
Now I guess it's vintage.
It is vintage. Sell on eBay.
And I bought that, and it was worth every
penny.
2 easy payments of $14.99.
But I mean, I think it was enjoyable again at first because he was the first one, right? Like before, and I would say him and Geraldo se daban la mano a little bit, but he was the first one, and then that's when Jenny Jones and Maury Povich and everybody started to take that turn as well to the sensational. So there's something to be said about like when he was doing it, there was a novelty.
He was the first.
There was a novelty.
He was
to
the first,
right?
And I feel he probably bumped into that. He probably had a series of episodes that had questionable people, and it was a ratings success.
I think the first one that was that, or the first one that I can recall, and I think a lot of times they point to it. There was one episode where he had like, I don't know if it was like a hillbilly Thanksgiving or a redneck food fight. Yeah. Many people point to that episode as like the big curve. Like that was after that. There was no going back, and it was just family that they were all cheating on each other, and they were hillbillies.
That was the least of it.
But I mean, había un gelengue ahí, whatever, and then they all started throwing food at each other. There was a Thanksgiving setup and all that, and so I think that was the turning point.
I feel about that TV show, and again, I bought the tapes once upon a time, so I contributed to that. But I feel that especially when it became what it did become, that it was a gimmick. Yeah. Even though it made for good TV, quote unquote. Right. I sort of felt the same way I felt about Laura en America. Que pase desgraciado. That, they were benefiting off these people. Right? These were people that didn't have a lot of income, didn't have a lot of resources.
And they promised you a trip to New York.
Right. And they were benefiting off these people to make them act a fool on national TV. Yeah. And
I've told you my favorite episode of Laura en America.
Which one?
My favorite episode of Laura en America is there's this whole thing. They bring out this woman, and she's like, "Hey, señorita Laura, mi hijo lo secuestraron. No encuentro mi hijo. Right? So, okay, she's there to plead for her child's return. Creo que está con mi ex. Que salga, desgraciado. Whatever. So he comes out and she's like, tú te llevaste el niño. No, señorita, yo no fui. Whatever. There's this whole back and forth, whatever. All of a sudden, Laura turns to the camera and says, bueno, señores y señoras.
She broke the fourth wall.
Yo tengo... Well, to the audience, to her audience. Yo tengo una sorpresa. Yo he encontrado el niño. And then they just raise a wall. The child is sitting there on a chair. She walks over to... Now, mind you, they've made this whole stink about how this woman is like looking frantically for her child. Laura goes over there, speaks to the child for maybe 3 minutes, and then they bring the wall back down and don't reunite the mother with the child.
So it's like, here's your kid.
I'm like, wait a minute. How do we know you didn't kidnap him, Laura?
Remember Scott, we're in a volcano. We're surrounded by liquid toxic magma.
It's just like, God, you're not even trying. But yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it was... I mean... I mean, I can't recall the last time I saw Jerry Springer, but I mean,
it's been canceled for a while.
But I do recall in later years, much later years, past its peak and its prime, watching it and being like, oh my God, it's like the same thing from 10 years ago. It's the same, outrageous thing. And it was always like, like the tranny, like what they would say, they would come up with all these like tranny names that were like completely inappropriate, but like, it was always like, I'm in love with this girl and it's really a man. And it's like, oh my God, like that was so just.
Do you think he was a little bit of a precursor in a very weird way, even if just pop culturally, to what happens now on social media?
How so?
Well, where everybody can have their 15 minutes, right? Where everybody can now just go on their Instagram or on their TikTok or what have you, and do something outrageous and potentially become viral, or start their OnlyFans, or do you think that there's something to be said for the slippery slope?
Because I think that, especially with Jerry Springer, I mean, the people that went on the show, no matter how outrageous they were, I mean, nobody ever did anything else. Now, we've talked about this before. If it would have been something like The Real World, yes, because The Real World was a franchise, and it was on TV. So if you were controversial enough, you were going to end up on the challenge.
At bare minimum.
Yeah. You were ending up on the challenge. They still have the challenge.
Of course they do.
It's like Challenge 64.
It's on Paramount Plus now.
Like, I don't watch it anymore. And it's funny because the challenge gets more and more ridiculous. It's like, you are going to be hanging on by literally a thread over lava while there is hurricane force winds.
But the problem now is that it's much more dangerous because now there's like 50-year-olds doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before it was like, people who were like 27.
What's his name? CT? CT is from The Real World Paris, 2003. CT is like our age, maybe even a little bit older. So it's like, I mean, he's still good.
No, I mean, look, I mean, I'm still in shape, but the older you get,
that's why you're wearing this wonderful.
It's true. I decided,
I gave you that tank top.
You did give me this. I call this my Kill Bill tank top.
Yeah. That's when I was working out, but those days have passed. So.
I feel like our listeners can take the traps. Also, I thought it would be great to watch as I progressively possibly get colder as we sit here in your house.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a throw behind me.
Oh, okay.
I already have a throw behind me ready to go at the ready.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
So, you mentioned that there was a passing of Barry Humphries.
Yes, Barry Humphries. Yes.
Barry Humphries passed this week, and for those of you who don't know Barry Humphries by his birth name and legal name, it's Dame Edna Everage. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that, I mean, obviously the comedian Barry Humphries had a very long career, but I think that
I didn't realize how long.
Yeah, it's like 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
But I think what's significant about his passing, aside from his body of work, was the fact that Edna Everage was such a beloved and known character around the world.
Before social media
for like 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And what I think it's really interesting is that this is a man, and he was straight, right? He
married like 4 times.
Right. Mm-hmm. This was a man who made his career by being in drag. And
not even like Flip Wilson por arribita drag.
Yeah.
Like lentejuelas.
Do you want me to tell you something?
What?
We're, our Pero Primos are listening. No. I remember thinking it was a woman.
At first, I did too.
Yeah, I was like, una vieja.
Because,
una vieja is being all
but
quirky.
also because,
I mean, this was like when we were, I don't know, in high school
but
or whatever.
But think about it.
But
he didn't have, Barry Humphries didn't have a history in this country. We were exposed to Dame Edna.
Right. But even Dame Edna.
So if you didn't know who Barry Humphries, if you didn't know that connection,
right.
It was just una vieja.
Right, but even the character, Dame Edna, he didn't have firsthand popularity here, but yet everybody still knew him because it was such a beloved and international character that everybody knew Dame Edna. But the reason why, obviously aside from his passing and giving him his flowers, that I think it's very relevant is that, in this day and age now, that all of a sudden we decided
drag is evil.
Just certain people decided that, drag is evil and, it's grooming children and all this bullshit about drag and the history of drag that you forget. Well, you don't forget,
but
that
it's easy to overlook
that this person was doing this character for like 40, 50 years. Everybody loved this character, and it was never a problem.
Right.
Never.
Right.
It was never a problem. But now all of a sudden it is.
Right.
All of a sudden it is. And Dame Edna would come on all these talk shows and be ridiculous.
That's the thing, because he never showed up as Barry.
Never.
At least in this country, he always showed up as Dame Edna.
Yeah, never. But then all of a sudden, so here you have a character that was beloved, who was a drag queen, beloved. Nobody found offense to it. Nobody, and again, as you said, full drag. Like,
head to toe.
Wasn't even full drag.
It wasn't ugly drag either. It was. It was una señora. Like, it was like señora los quinces.
Hence, I thought it was a real woman when I was much younger. But nobody ever had a problem with that performance, and nobody ever had a problem with that character. And this is something that he started in the 70s or late 60s, early 70s. Never had a problem with it. People enjoyed it. People laughed because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's entertainment.
It's a
character. It's entertainment. Entertainment is subjective. If I'm sure there's a lot of people who did not find Dame Edna funny.
There's a lot of things I don't like that other people like,
and that's okay. And that's totally okay if it's not your forte. I mean, we've said it here. I don't particularly care for drag queens, but I acknowledge that it's an art and it's performance, and it is just that, it's performance. And I've gone to drag shows and I have a fine time. It's not like I'm there like, oh, take me out of this misery.
But I think that you touched on something in particular.
Because when it's good,
it's fucking great.
But when it's good,
it's great.
But when it's good, it's like any other form of entertainment. I don't like musicals. I've gone to musicals, and there's
a good musical is a good musical,
right? A good musical. I mean, I freaking saw Phantom of the Opera, and I was like, oh my god, like,
right. And you're not a musical person,
and I'm not a musical person at all,
right?
But when entertainment is good, you laugh and you enjoy it, even if it's not your thing,
right?
And I think that this person, and the character is a good reflection as to this is entertainment, it's art. People enjoyed it. People liked it for decades. And yet now, all of a sudden, we have a big problem with it. It's not like, people are like, well, no, it's like shut it down.
I think it's a bigger issue at hand too. I mean, you did mention the fact that Barry Humphries was straight, and I think that's a key differentiator. Mm-hmm. I think that when you have a straight man or a man who identifies as straight, right, at the end of the day, doing drag in whatever form, it's a character, it's funny, it's, whether it's Barry Humphries or, again, I said, Flip Wilson doing, I forget the name of his character on the Flip Wilson show, or in Some Like It Hot, or, you know what I mean, like or Tootsie, in those instances, it's okay because it's a straight guy.
Right.
So when a straight guy is dressed as a woman, that's comedy. Mm-hmm. But when a gay man dresses as a woman,
it's grooming.
That's weird.
Right.
That's grooming.
Right.
That means that, maybe he wants to be a woman.
Right.
And now that goes into like the whole like transgender people are even more evil than the drag queens, because everybody knows that drag queens is just a stopover to becoming transgender.
Take marijuana.
It's a gateway.
Yeah, it's a great gateway performance.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gateway gender reassignment. Like, give me the fucking break. But I think that's the key differentiator, though.
I agree. It's the key
differentiator.
Eso mismo. I agree, but you know what I wonder is right now in the nature that we're in with drag performances being evil,
right.
I wonder if even drag by quote unquote straight men would still fall under that.
That's interesting because there is actually a former contestant from Drag Race who he is straight. He's the only straight contestant that's been on the show. So I'm sure there are other straight drag queens. But that would be interesting to see if he has faced any type of...
I'm sure that now everybody's going down
same
with
brush,
that ship. Yeah,
painted with the same brush. But that would be interesting to ask. I forget his character's name now, but to ask him, or to understand like if there's been any differentiator, or if now because of everything that's going on, there is no room for distinction.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're a drag queen. That's it. You're a fag, and you want to be a woman.
I mean,
that's it.
Again, and we talked about this a few episodes ago, that this whole thing with drag queens now, and people are saying, oh, it's inappropriate for children, and they always show that one video or a handful of videos of children in a drag show, and where the drag queen is doing what is inappropriate. And but
that's not the drag queen's fault.
My answer to that is there's inappropriate television, there's inappropriate movies, there's inappropriate video games. There are things that
is it okay for you right now could take Tristan to a rated R movie because it's under 18, not admitted without a parent. So if he goes with you, he can walk in there, but he cannot walk into a Trixie and Katya show.
But what I'm saying is that people that want to make this a problem will always refer to the handful of videos or
where there is a child at an inappropriate show,
where there is a child that is witnessing a show by a drag queen
that is for adults,
right? But that argument could be made about anything, about television, about comedy,
Cardi B concert.
About a concert, about video games. There's always material that's not appropriate for children or not appropriate for kids of a certain age. Drag is no exception, right? But again, I've been to plenty of drag brunch or whatever that it's totally fine. It's totally fine. And I think that when people are saying that if they want to take their kid to a drag show, they're referring to obviously a more, I don't want to say rated G, but PG, like
more benign,
right? There's plenty of them. It's like everything else. There's drag that's age appropriate. Well, inappropriate if you're a certain age, and there's drag that anybody could watch it. The kid could watch it. La abuela could watch it.
There's drag that makes me blush.
There's family drag.
There's family drag. Yes. As RuPaul says, the family that drags together stays together.
But that's what they want to. That's what people that are in this argument or making this an argument are failing to realize that. I wouldn't take my kid to a drag show that is sexual or explicit.
Right. Like a nightclub.
Right, because that is what that drag show is about. But then there's 100 other drag shows that are family drag, that are fun. They're singing Britney Spears or whatever, whatever it is.
Well, like the ones at the Arts Center when they do the Pride celebrations. Right. That it's right there in public.
Or here in Miami at our house.
A drag brunch is usually pretty benign.
I remember one time we went to one and the drag queen picked up this toddler.
Somebody had like a 1-year-old or something. Yeah,
and everybody had a great time. Nobody was,
Yes.
And there were children there, and there wasn't anything inappropriate. And it's like,
yes, and that child grew up to be Tucker Carlson.
He didn't have a good week.
I know, but that was my transition for at least now we have one less voice on the airwaves talking about this trash.
Yeah, and he's a big one.
He really is a big one. He is a very big one.
That's the big whale.
That is. I mean, you want to talk about Moby Dick?
and you know what?
You know what? It's funny because we were talking last week. Do we think there's going to be any repercussions at Fox News? And you were like, I don't know. I don't think so. And I would say this is a pretty big repercussion after the whole Dominion thing.
Well, I said there wouldn't be so in terms of their viewership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
Which there isn't. Their viewership, the people are going to watch.
They're going to believe what they believe.
They're going to believe what they're going to believe. I mean, Fox News said that they did not terminate him because of the lawsuit. Bullshit. I don't know. That just came out of nowhere. I mean,
somebody had to pay.
I think
somebody had to pay the price.
somebody like him, and again, it's not a situation that he was a conservative or a Republican or a right-winger. The problem with Tucker Carlson is that, admittingly, he was just giving out knowingly false information. He was lying to his audience, lying. And he knew this, and he knows that he was the highest rated show news show on cable television. He has an immense power. And I mean, do you know about this whole thing about the Great Replacement Theory?
What is the...
Oh, he had, I think it was like over 60 episodes where he talked about the Great Replacement Theory. So the Great Replacement Theory, he completely, he didn't come up with it, but he's the one who aired it and put it on television. Okay. So the Great Replacement Theory is that the left has in the works open immigration policies so people can get into this country, obviously, who are immigrants. Mm-hmm. Most of them are Latin or from Latin America. That will replace the white voter. Mm-hmm. Right? And because all these people are going to be coming in, which lean more left, that's a way of manipulating the elections or the electorate. It's a way of replacing the white conservative
to skew the
voter. Right. That's the Great Replacement Theory. He would spew this out on his show. Like, that's something that has very, very... like profound consequences, especially now. He also, listen, we could have 10 hours of all the awful and atrocious things that he said, but he recently reinforced by very edited and curated videos of January 6th, he reinforced that it was
a peaceful protest.
It was that it was peaceful, and all that he saw were people, peacefully going around in the Capitol, and and being like tour guides, and looking at their Capitol in awe. Like, this man said this on his show,
despite what we all saw on live television,
right? And
on his channel.
And again, the thing that goes back to him, which is an argument that so many times comes out in discussing politics nowadays, is that you can have your opinion. We can have different opinions on things, but what we can't have are different facts, right? And that is the most problematic thing about people like Tucker Carlson, is that it wasn't even that he had a very, opinion that was off from what you believed, or that you would be like, pero ¿por qué este hombre piensa esto? Like, no, it's like, it was a completely different narrative with completely different facts, with completely made up information that he would spew out to his listeners and to the people watching his show. And when you're making these allegations, for example, of the election being stolen, which has absolutely no evidence, there's no evidence that exists that there was widespread voter fraud.
Proven by all of the memos internally.
Right. And if you keep on saying there is, it's not now that you're skeptical, it's now that you are giving out information that is false. But how in the past Fox News has been able to circumvent that and go through that loophole is that they've said that they're not a news division, that they're an entertainment.
Because he's a talking head.
Yeah,
essentially.
No, but they've said that they have considered themselves less of a news division and more of an entertainment,
like editorial.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how they've been able to get away with certain things.
Interesting.
But yeah.
I will tell you, whatever, it's come out that he didn't believe any of the things he said on air. At the end of the day.
He hated Trump.
But you know what else I find fascinating is, and whatever, I'm not going to get into details and names, but one of his higher ups behind the scenes who was also let go, gay man.
Yeah. Well, because you know what?
But I'm saying he's out there spewing all this everything about everybody, right? But then it's like behind the scenes.
Right, because
you're cool with everybody.
Because at the end of the day, this is all about ratings and power and money.
It's all it is.
It's all about money.
It's all it is.
It's all about money. It's all about who has more ratings. If you have more ratings, it doesn't matter that you are lying to people and that your lies have consequences. Because this is not like, back in the day, the National Enquirer or
Bat Boy,
or
right.
Gossip celebrity gossip.
Blind item.
Which even that has its consequences.
Yeah, but let's say, but you're talking about the typical which blonde starlet was spotted canoodling.
Right.
That's
but this has very, very important and dire consequences that we have seen how they played out, and yet you continue to feed a false narrative for your gain, both personally and the corporation financially and for ratings. And that is very destructive. And when corporations, and in this case somebody who is in the news and is an anchor and has a show, continues to do that for their own self gain, that is how things happen, which have happened. Something like January 6th and something like all these people that believe the election was stolen despite there being no evidence, because you have people like Tucker Carlson making these statements that are untrue and people believe it. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are today. I don't know. I have no idea who they would replace in that.
I think they're just extending the show before him by like an hour and just kind of doing.
Who I would love for them to put on Fox News? Meghan McCain.
Do you think,
I don't think
she'd do it.
No, I don't think she'd do it, and I don't think that the Fox the Fox viewership is. Well, she's a bad Republican. The people who watch Fox would like Meghan McCain. I've always said this. I've said this 100 times, and I'll say it again. I disagree with Meghan McCain on almost anything and everything, and especially since she's been off The View, she's gone a little bit like
rogue,
a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But Meghan McCain is the type of Republican that you want, because although I disagree with everything that she says,
but you disagree with her policies.
I disagree with her policies. I don't think that people like her are these awful people that are lying to the country, that are into are fascists, are election deniers,
targeting minorities, right.
They're not. They're people I disagree with politically and ideologically, but I always have, because that's why I'm not a conservative.
But that's human nature,
right? And that's okay. That's okay. So that's why I wish that they would take a turn to more of that old school Republican that I may just want to be like, you're full of shit, like, but not necessarily think that they're on their way of there being a constitutional crisis. But
on their way to the Capitol.
What do we know? Bueno, speaking about politicians being a little naughty, going down that route, viste esta semana that Disney World struck back and filed a lawsuit against
I saw that.
Ron DeSantis.
And you know what the funny thing is? You know what the first thing I thought of when I saw that lawsuit? Is because, as we all know, all lawsuits to a degree are based on precedent set by other cases. And the first thing I thought of was actually how a case that's actually happening right now down here in South Florida against Joe Arroyo could have ramifications in setting precedent for that if Carrillo is found guilty.
Look at your legal,
look at me,
like this legal analysis that you.
Thanks, Mariska Hargitay.
Well, I feel that if we're going to talk about the Joe Arroyo lawsuit, we have to have Billy Corben on the show.
Well, I'm actually waiting for the trial to be over to schedule him, because he's very busy right now. His full-time job right now is covering that trial.
Yeah, that's
Pero did you see even Rosa from Sandwich had to go and testify? Who don't we know that's being
so
pulled
for our
into
listeners
this?
who don't know, Joe Arroyo is in the he holds a commission seat in the city of Miami commission, not Miami-Dade County.
He's a career politician.
He's a career politician. He has a long history of alleged corruption.
Just visit Billy Corben's site.
And, a long history of people alleging that he's very vindictive and he'll go after businesses and all that. And there was a business here, Ball and Chain, which is a historic bar and entertainment venue in Little Havana that has been around since the 1930s. Yeah. It's almost 100 years old, and this place it's an icon in the community, and people from around the world and around the country come. Like, I remember one time we were there a few years ago, and there were these girls having their bachelor party, and they were like from Milwaukee. Like, it's a really big deal. And Joe Arroyo essentially, allegedly, shut the place down and struck them with all these code violations, because the owners of the establishment,
They supported his political opponent.
They supported and endorsed his political opponent, and that went down a very, very dark and ugly hole. And the thing about him is that everybody knows this about him, but you know that he's
the definition of when people show you who they are, believe them.
Do you know how many votes he got?
I was hoping you would bring this up because you told me this before.
Between 6,000 and 8,000 votes.
Out of how many people?
Well, it's not only how many people. It's that the thing is, for those listeners who are not local. So Miami is a very interesting place in terms of its makeup and government. So although Miami, I think, is like the 5th or 6th largest metropolitan area in the country, and we have, I don't know, what is it, 4 to 5 million people. Really, the city of Miami is actually very small. Most of what you call Miami in terms of area is really unincorporated Dade.
Right.
And that's what it really is in terms of, again, land area is Miami. But the actual city of Miami is very, very small. It only has a population of under 300,000 people. So that's why a lot of times when you see like the ranking of the top, 10 largest cities in the U.S., Miami's not there.
Right.
Because they're not counting metropolitan Miami. They're counting just the city of Miami. But anyway, and it has a separate government. Like there's a governor for the city of Miami. There's a governor for Miami-Dade County. It's a little bit complicated, but anyway. But this guy Joe Carollo is he holds a commission seat, and he's very controversial, and he has a very, very small electorate, and it's usually anywhere between 6,000 and 8,000 people that vote for him, and he has this immense power. So it's not like
for a commissioner.
But remember that. Again, it's small, and then he has a district within a small, which is Little Havana, and he has a history of this, but people keep voting for him. Porque los viejos cubanos votan por él, por yo Carollo, porque cubano.
Yeah,
and
that's all they need.
Oh my gosh! But anyway, back to the Disney lawsuit. So it was filed this week, and.
Yeah, and they're alleging, what is it? They're alleging retaliatory...
Political retaliation.
Okay. And infringement of free speech.
Yes, this is going to be a First Amendment case. And the thing about it is that the governor, Ron DeSantis, he's gone, when originally he was, swagging, Disney, I'm going to take on Disney World or the Disney Corporation. He went on and on and on about how he was doing this because the corporation disagreed with his proposed Don't Say Gay bill, or also known as the Parental Rights Bill. That's really what this stems from.
Absolutely.
This stems from the CEO of a company.
A private company disagreeing with a proposed bill that was going to be passed in our state. This is what this stems for, and this is what can we extend this? Make it a little better. This is essentially a private citizen disagreeing with a civil servant.
Well, yes.
Let's call it what it is.
Here's the thing. Up until a year ago, nobody, no matter what your political affiliations were or ideologists were, had a problem with Disney or the Disney Corporation. The only problem I had with Disney was the increase. Está carísimo. The increase, the constant increase of the admission. Right? But nobody had a problem. Nobody. This goes back to Dame Edna. Nobody had a problem with Dame Edna and drag queens, but now all of a sudden they do. And with Disney, nobody had a problem with Disney. Nobody.
At least collectively.
Right. But now Disney is this company that is grooming children and is filled with pedophiles and is filled with all these horrible
First of all, the average pedophile can't afford Disney.
With all these horrible things. So and now they're making that Disney,
doesn't
pay taxes. Again,
you mean like any other corporation?
It's a snowball effect, right? Now now Disney is the worst entity in the world. And let me remind people that this whole thing with Disney started because the CEO of the Disney Corporation at that time, which is no longer the CEO. The CEO now is Bob Iger again. The CEO of Disney disagreed with the proposal, at that time it was a proposal, of the Parental Rights Bill, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill. And he vocally said that Disney was not in favor of that. And as a result of a private company, the CEO of a private company,
making a statement
saying that he wasn't in favor of this bill, we had the governor of the third largest state in the country go on a total retaliation and total vengeance against this corporation. Now, I ask people to try to see that objectively, that you have a governor, somebody with a lot of power, go after a private company because they don't agree. He doesn't agree.
They dare to voice an opinion.
And they dare to voice an opinion. That is not cool. That is illegal. That is unconstitutional, right? That should not be the case, right? If the governor disagrees with that, then he could have responded in a very appropriate way that he disagreed with what Disney said. But instead,
he literally could have said, like, I disagree with them, but anybody who's in my state needs to follow my laws.
Right.
And that's it.
And he has gone on this tirade against Disney, spending millions of dollars in resources, taxpayer money, because you know who's going to pay for this litigation? We are. We're going to pay for this litigation because Disney is a private company. So Disney is going to afford and pay for their own lawyers.
Right.
But the state of Florida, we are going to be paying for this litigation.
We're paying for this litigation. We're paying for Marlins Stadium.
This is going to be some intense litigation. And this is all because the governor of Florida did not agree and got upset that the CEO of Disney made a statement that he did not agree with a bill that he was proposing. Okay, that not only is that unconstitutional, but if you don't have a problem with that and you don't think that that's objectively, if you're looking at that, you don't think that that is a problem, that in itself is a problem because no elected official should be able to, well, it's illegal to go after a witch hunt of a corporation like he is doing. And again, spending our money on that. But here we are.
Well, it's not the first time he spent our money to do something that he thought was fun.
Oh, yeah?
Well, when he sent everyone to Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, well, yeah. You know what's really funny? He got married at Disney. And now online people are fighting and all this type of stuff. And
really? Because online discourses are usually so civil.
But it's just, it's just terrible. Absolutely terrible that it's gotten to this point that now Disney is the villain and Disney Corporation is all these terrible things.
I mean, look, Disney Corporation might be a villain for many things, as many corporations probably are.
Right.
I'm not going to debate that, but not because they just had a disagreement with a public official.
Yeah. It's terrible. Bueno, viste that, speaking of Disney, that this week they released the trailer of The Little Mermaid.
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, so...
I did see Anorexic Flounder.
So I'm very much looking forward to The Little Mermaid. And, meh, because you don't like The Little Mermaid, or because...
Well, no, I love The Little Mermaid, but meh, because I have not been impressed by any of the live-action remakes.
You know what? Neither have I, but this one looks really good.
But they all look good in a trailer. Everything looks good in a trailer.
Well...
It's the trailer's purpose.
No, but this one looks really good. But we'll see. We'll see. And I have to tell you, with this whole Little Mermaid debacle, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the movie. But I have to tell you that I'm just like, okay, now the trailer comes. Now we go
another round
of outrage.
Right.
Now the movie's going to be released. Another round of outrage. That it's like, oh my God, we've been arguing about The Little Mermaid for like 2 years, it seems. Yes. First the
before casting, it was even filmed.
First the casting, then the filming, then now the trailer, and then the release.
Oh, because there's like 3 trailers now before a movie comes out. So
then the release. It's like this whole round of people being outraged over a black mermaid. A mythical fictional creature that she could have been fluorescent orange in the first one. That it wouldn't have really mattered because
they don't exist.
They don't exist.
But yeah, this is not.
But somehow we are going to lose our shit because some people are going to lose their shit because it's a black mermaid, and it's like wow, because there aren't enough problems in the world, right? There aren't enough things for you to be concerned about over the casting of a movie, and we talked about this in the first time this came around. If you have a problem with the casting of The Little Mermaid in now the live action remake,
well, you officially have no problems.
Right. You either don't have any problems in reality, your life,
right,
and you just want to bitch and complain about this, or you need to look at your internalized racism
or you're just a professional troll.
But I mean, no, but it's the whole internalized racism thing, because you know what? If you don't. Again, it's a mermaid. It doesn't exist, right? So if you lost your shit over the fact that they hired a very talented,
right? Porque todavía tú me digas, bueno, she can't sing,
right, girl,
Right.
black girl to do this show, because again, está Chloe Bailey. I mean,
Halle
Bailey,
Bailey, because I always want to call her Halle Berry.
Halle Bailey. Right. Yeah. I mean, she has some chops, and she's been in the business for a while. So you're talking about, a veteran actress,
right?
You could say at her young age,
yeah.
But
well, she's a Beyonce protege.
Right. If you're losing your shit over the fact that there is a black Little Mermaid, as I said, you either are a troll, you don't have anything else that you want to bitch and complain about, or you need to check out your internalized racism, because, I mean, it's ridiculous.
I don't think it's internalized.
It's well, no, because, it's always that whole thing, oh, I'm not a racist.
But
right. Why did they have to put, a black mermaid if the first mermaid was white. Right. And the first mermaid also, gave up her voice to the sea witch, but
and is a mermaid. Like, let's not bury the lead here, kids. It's in the title. Right. The Little Mermaid.
People are fucking crazy.
People, if only they were crazy. I think we've passed crazy.
Yeah.
I long for the days of crazy.
Yeah. So, anyway, what else is going on?
I mean, I'm just looking forward to our LA trip, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm so like tunnel visioned right now that I'm like all the things we're gonna go do.
So listen, I was reading the news. I forgot where this week, and I came across this news story of this lady who some years ago she went to GoodWill, and she paid $34.99 for like a marble bust of someone, a man. And it turns out that she paid $34.99. It turns out that bust is from ancient Rome, and it's over 2,000 years old. Yeah. And then they actually know who it is. They actually know who the bust is.
It's like a historical figure.
And she is returning it to Germany, because Germany has a collection of these statues.
Was this something that maybe, like, I don't know, many moons ago, like some Nazi squirreled away?
Yes, it all heads back to that. When the Nazis World War II, that all these people took
all these works of art
and all that stuff. But can you imagine going? The
fact that it ended up in a GoodWill.
Yes, because what happened was that apparently it was one of these things that the man who took... I read in the article. If I brought it up, I should have been a little bit more prepared in terms of the details of the article. But from what I remember, the man took it from Europe, and then he brought it to the United States, and he had it in his house, and then I think he died, and then...
Oh, he didn't have any heirs or
something.
Right,
or his heirs didn't know what it was, and they're like, oh, look at this big bust of... We don't want this.
¿Qué hago yo con
esto?
And
somehow it ended up in the GoodWill. And this woman, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, bought it for $34.99, not knowing that bust was over 2,000 years old.
You know what the best part about this story is, though?
What?
If she had not bought it, that probably would have just sat there and eventually just been thrown away.
I don't know about thrown away, but it would have gone to like the bargain bin of GoodWill.
Right, but I'm saying things only are at some point the GoodWill has to be
bigger find. This is a bigger find than when I bought at the GoodWill an original 180 gram original pressing of the soundtrack of the score of Dr. Zhivago, and it was unopened.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, this
that I remember when I saw that at the GoodWill, I did a... Does somebody know that I'm going to buy this? Because this is a type of thing. I mean, it was Dr. Zhivago. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I love Dr. Zhivago. I love to sit and watch the movie for about 4 days, because that's how long the movie is, and just be bored out of my mind and watch the Russian winter. But I love that movie. I love Dr. Zhivago. I aged watching that movie.
Yes. Right? I think that's the purpose.
So when I walk into the GoodWill and I see that vinyl, and I'm like, wait. This is like an original 180 gram vinyl.
And sealed.
Original in perfect condition. And it's the score. And
you got lucky that day.
Yeah,
I mean, not as lucky as this woman.
Not as lucky as the bus.
But you got lucky.
This one up the
Yeah, I think this is a little higher. This might be a little squidge higher than your day.
That reminds me. These are GoodWill stories, people. A few years ago, I was actually at the GoodWill in Hialeah, across the street from Hialeah City Hall, and I sent you to like our group chat of our friends a picture of this. I was at the Goodwill in Hialeah, and I was at the, I had time to kill. And I went to the area of the frames, and somebody had, it ended up in the Goodwill, one of those frames with like multiple pictures. And they had pictures of like their kid. They didn't take them out. Don't you remember?
I don't remember this.
Yeah, it had pictures of their kid. And I'm like, and these weren't like black and white pictures that maybe they got confused.
No, you could tell.
Right. One of them was like his kindergarten graduation. I remember you even said, oh, he would be like 18 now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't remember this.
And I'm like, coño, you know what's for you not to even take out the pictures of your kid from a cuadro that you're going to give Goodwill?
Maybe it was one of those situations, again, the person passed away,
I have to tell you that I'm really guilty of being that person that says, okay, you know what? I'm going to give my stuff to Goodwill. And I put it in bags and then put it in the trunk of my car, and there it sits for about 4 months.
Jesus, no.
Yeah.
No. I will grab a box from BJ's and I will fill it up, and like by next week. By like next week, I'm like, no, I need.
You're in the minority, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I also just have a 1-bedroom apartment, so I need my space.
Yeah. No, I need to. I do you go to Goodwill a lot?
I haven't been in a while.
Yeah.
I usually wind up going to Goodwill around Halloween time.
So I go to Goodwill for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only: to find vinyl.
Okay.
Because sometimes
that makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't think about that.
And to find VCRs. I have over 300, VHS tapes.
Okay, wait. Since you go,
I have the entire series of Full House on VHS first run.
Since you go to Goodwill's to find VCRs,
I mean, I don't go all the time. It's not like I make
no. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you.
But
keep an eye out for Betamax.
No, I've never seen a Betamax.
Damn it.
No, pero chico, a Betamax was discontinued in the early 80s. I mean, VHS was discontinued in 2009.
I don't know what. Listen, this woman found a 2,000-year-old.
That is true. That is true.
What I mean?
That is true.
A Betamax is a lot.
You know what I think
younger.
is so interesting about Betamax is that I had and listeners, I know there's some of you out there that are going to agree with this. So listen up.
Okay.
I don't ever recall seeing a Betamax player, like a standalone Betamax player. It just seemed that every time that I would... Actually, you know what? Quita eso. I'm confused. I'm going...
Scratch it? Okay.
Scratch it. Edit that out.
Flip that and reverse
Edit that out. It's actually something else. 8-track.
Oh,
I don't recall ever seeing... No, you know why I knew Betamax? Because for some reason in Cuba, they used to have Betamax. So in like the 80s and 90s, whenever we would send home videos to our family in Cuba, we had to transfer from VHS to Betamax. Yeah. And then we had to get that one Betamax player from somebody that we knew that weighed a ton. It was like the size of
heavy.
It was like the size of a refrigerator, and it was a Betamax. No. What I'm talking about is
probably the size of that TV.
Okay, so listeners, listen up. I remember. I don't recall, because this was, I think, before our time.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever seeing a standalone 8-track player.
I agree.
Never. I don't recall seeing one.
No, I take that back.
No, wait. No, let me finish. It's my story.
I take that back.
I don't recall ever seeing a standalone 8-track player. But for some reason, all the bedroom sets in like the 80s had 8-track players in the back. Those bedroom sets that in the headboard.
They had the speakers.
It had speakers and an 8-track player. Why did they have 8-track players?
Well, I mean, where else were you going to play your Barry White?
Well, that is true. But I never saw an 8-track player like standalone or an 8-track player. I don't know, boombox, like
a Walkman version of
never. It was always in la cama de alguien. My aunt still has la cama.
No.
Yeah, she's had the same Juego de Cuartos since 1982. Y está nuevo. Está nuevo.
The pause and the speed with which you said that was so on point,
right?
That like, but we couldn't have planned it.
But you know what was so great about her Juego de Cuarto, and I'm sure there's other people out there like that. So it's your typical early mid 80s Juego de Cuarto that's Formica, and it has some mirror features.
Yes, something reflective.
Reflective, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously, in its time, it was in. Then it went out of style. Then it was tacky. Then it was like, ugh. And now it's totally vintage. And now it's
so if you wait long enough.
If you wait long enough, it will be vintage. Hey, that bust had to wait 2,000 years.
That's true. That's true. The Huevo de Cuento only had to wait 40. I mean,
okay, I'm thirsty. I think it's time.
I think
for
it is time.
refreshment.
It is time for the last soda. Yep.
So I know who I'm going to give my last soda to.
All right.
Ta-dun, ta-dun. So actually, I'm going to give my last soda to, and you and I were just watching this before recording, to Carol Burnett.
Oh.
So we just watched the Carol Burnett 90th anniversary special. Makes it sound like her show started
90th birthday.
90th birthday. So they did a huge homage to her. And, we were talking that, I remember, Carol Burnett obviously predates us and her show. I don't think we were even born when her show was on. But I remember as a kid, they would always repeat her show at night in Channel 33 and Canal 33. That's where so much of my life and who I became was because of Channel 33.
Yeah.
Not 39,
nope.
33.
No, it was always 33. 33 had the classic sitcoms.
Yes, it was Carol Burnett show, Good Times. Like,
All in the Family.
I never watched All in the Family.
But it was there.
But yeah, it was there. It was there.
Glow.
Glow, yes. Live from the Riviera, Las Vegas. I remember the first time I went to Vegas. Yeah, I was in the 2000s. And I went to the Riviera hotels. I'm like, aquí donde hacían Glow. En esto de que se está desbaratando. But hey, in 1987, the Riviera Hotel in Las Vegas was nicer. But anyway, back to Carol Burnett. Obviously they did this homage to her and they did this beautiful show and there, it was full of clips and all that. And, not only is she hilarious and it was a great talent, but as you and I were discussing, it's a format and it's something that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Variety television and really that type of programming that everybody enjoyed. The kids enjoyed the
family programming.
I never like to say family program because that makes it seem like mom, dad, and the two kids and the dog, right? And that's not the reality for everybody, right? But it's multi-generational.
Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Kids can enjoy it. La abuela enjoys it. The parents or middle-aged people enjoy it. People in their 20s. Because as you and I were talking, funny is funny. And when something is hilarious, it doesn't matter what age you're in or what walk of life you're in, you're going to laugh. Obviously, your age and walk of life can add different context to it, but it's funny. Because Mira, one of her most famous skits is the one with the curtain rod.
Yeah.
You can have no idea what that reference is, that it's a reference to Gone with the Wind.
Right.
You could have no idea about that reference or ever even heard of Gone with the Wind and still find that skit hilarious. And I just, as you and I were discussing, it's something that is just, it's not really there anymore. No. And these, you mentioned it, these people that can act, that are funny, that can sing, that can dance.
You had to do it all.
Notice that you were a showman, a showwoman, showman. Yeah. That you can do all this stuff and
Yeah, eso no existe.
Eso no existe.
I know we sound like we're 90, but it's true. It's a dying art.
that it's one of the few people that I can think of, and he was on the show, was like Darren Criss.
Yeah,
because Darren Criss can sing, dance, and act. He's an entertainer, or like a Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman is perfect
maybe that's
example.
why that movie was so popular, The Greatest Showman, because it's something that doesn't really exist anymore, and it was just really nostalgic to see that show, and she is an icon, and one of the greatest things that Carol Burnett gave us was Mama's Family.
True that.
Because I love Mama's Family. By extension, Mama's Family gave us the character Viola.
We have a special place in our heart for Viola.
And listeners, if you don't know what we're talking about and you don't know the show Mama's Family, go watch it. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, Raytown. I think that was the anthem, actually. Raytown, oh, Raytown was the name of it.
Well, it didn't have any lyrics.
That's right.
Mama's Family.
No, not the theme to the song. I think the town had like a town song called Raytown, oh, Raytown.
I think it's so wow that they were constantly calling Naomi a slut, and they would say the word slut
to her face.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know how this will go down nowadays.
You couldn't create most of the things that we grew up on. You just couldn't.
You know that Mama's Family feels older than what it is because that show ran in the late 80s up to 90s.
Yeah, like 91.
91, 92. And it just seems older. It seems like a show from the 70s.
It's because it was probably filmed on tape. Anything that's why all of those things from like the 70s and 80s look like they're older than the things from the 60s.
Yeah. So Carol Burnett,
very deserving of a last soda. My last soda is for a show that is on it's on Freevee. It's a free Amazon service thing or whatever, but it's called Jury Duty. And I was telling you about it, and the whole premise is that it is following a whole jury process from the selection of the jury all the way through the case. I'm sorry?
Voir dire.
But literally everybody, with the exception of one person, is an actor. And then they wind up sequestering them and everything. And the whole show, like the last episode of the show is when they do the reveal to the one guy who was on the jury.
Is it in the course of several days or just one day?
It's 3 weeks.
Oh.
They did a trial. They did a trial. They sequestered them. They did a trial. They had people present like over.
So these people like missed work?
Well, they were actors. The only one that missed work was
the one person.
Was the one guy, right? And it was like over 60 hours.
So wait, so was the one guy who was not in on it? Did he have to take a papelito to his job? The summons? It was a fake summons?
I'm guessing it was a fake summons. Yeah.
Oh, giving out a fake summons is illegal.
Well, I don't know. Okay, well, I don't know that part of it. But so what I loved about it is at the end of the day, when they reveal it to him, and again, you watch him through the whole thing, like they make him the foreman, they make him, and everything. But the way that they painted it afterwards was this was not about trying to put somebody in a position of like gotcha or make them look the fool. Quite the contrary. They were trying to make him the hero of the show. And they really did succeed. Because they kept putting all these things like in front of him that were meant to basically make him go crazy.
I feel that I need to watch this being the legal one.
And he never lost his cool. Al contrario, he was always compassionate. He was
Is
always
there only
nice.
one episode?
No, it's like 8 episodes.
Oh.
It's 8 episodes. And I'm not going to reveal anything because it's not really a twist, but it's just after I watched it, I like the last episode when they reveal it, me dio un poco sentimiento because he was just such a genuinely nice person.
Because you feel bad that he was invested in all this.
No,
and put so much effort and then it turned out to be a lie.
On the contrary, you know what? Because he took it really well and in stride and all that. But it just showed me, like, you know what? There are still good people out there.
Do they win something?
So they wind up giving him $100,000.
Oh, okay. Well, lie to me all you want.
Well, but you didn't know that going in. Right. They don't tell you that. Literally, the last episode, they hand down the decision for the case, and then the judge is like, okay, it's just a formality. I'm going to need for you, Mr. Foreperson, to come and sit here, and we have to sign this paper, and I was like, okay, whatever. And he's like, all right. So when I started, I told you that this was my last case as a judge, and he's like, well, what I didn't tell you is that it was also my first. And then from there on they go for it. But some of the actors that played the lawyers were actual former litigators,
right?
I
was gonna say, sign me up.
They did it so well.
Where can I audition for this?
The last episode, they show you all the behind the scenes of how they had to coordinate everything. I remember everybody's in on this except for him,
right?
If he deviates from the quote unquote, because they can only script so much,
right?
If they have to have like 3 different options. If he says X, you do Y, and if he says Y, you have to do Z, and if he says Z, you have to do A. And it's like you don't know because he's not going on a script,
right? Right.
It's
complex. I gotta watch this.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
I need to audition for this.
And it kind of
I would be the defense attorney.
It kind of restored my faith in humanity a little bit, actually.
Okay, good. So nothing like a fake trial to restore your faith in humanity.
Well, something's got to do it.
Right. Not the real trial against Disney, but a fake one.
Well, that hasn't started yet.
No.
So, we'll revisit this once it starts. Yes.
Hold on to your horses.
Lo que viene.
Wouldn't it be hilarious?
If it even goes to trial.
No, that is.
You think
that's a constitutional issue?
Oh, well, yeah, no, it's not a. It's not.
They're not going to settle out of court.
It's not civil. It's not civil.
Right. Well, it is.
Well,
right, but it's a constitutional issue. It's not based on money.
Right. It's
right,
not.
They're not seeking damages.
Correct.
So, that'll be fun to watch. So, anyway, bueno, everybody, we are going to, as we said at the beginning of the show, we are going to be in Los Angeles next week.
The city of angels.
And we are so excited. We love LA. There's so much we're going to eat. do and friends and see people.
That's what I want DMs about.
What?
Listeners, I want you to tell us where we got to go eat.
Yes. So if you are
nothing else,
if you are in the LA
area,
actually,
are you trying to be like the guy who like does the thing to come?
Of course,
for the Price is Right.
Of course.
Okay.
That's what I was going to tell you to do. Is it too late to see if we have tickets to the Price is Right?
I can check
because you know that's a dream of mine.
I'll check.
That's a dream of mine.
I'll see.
My dream is to be on the Price is Right.
Or if any listeners out there can help us get on the Price is Right.
And I will tell you that, not to make this sentimental, that if I were to make it on the Price is Right, my grandmother will shine a light on me.
Damn right,
because
she will.
My grandmother watched the Price is Right till her very last day. She loved it. She loved it. Well, she had been watching it for 40-some years, and it was TV that she could understand.
Well, yeah, it's Price. Yeah, it's pricing. Yeah.
I told you my whole thing about being a kid and the Price is Right, right? How I would always watch things because I used to go grocery shopping with my mom,
right?
And I'd be like, "¿Qué caro es eso? Like that's not how much una botella para Molive cuesta. $4.99. My mom gets it for like $1.50, and it's like, oh, it's California prices.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you said that to me a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's California.
It just
prices.
never clicked.
No, they don't have BOGOs there.
But it should be the national average. Damn it.
I don't think it's a national average.
It should. No, I'm saying it should be.
Yeah,
it should be because what the hell do you know what something costs in California?
So my dream.
Don't bet $1.
No, my dream of being in the Price is Right. No, actually, it's that is of obviously being called.
Right. Step one.
But then getting, to play because I bet $1 successfely. Because while all the other motherfuckers bidding, I'm like, nope, you're over. Nope, you're over. No, you're over. I'm bidding $1, right? And then when I actually get up, what is going to be the game I'm going to play?
Plinko?
The greatest game of all time.
It's true.
Plinko. And then I'm going to get...
No te voy a caer.
And then I'm going to get $1 in the spinning the wheel.
No te voy a caer spinning the wheel.
And then when I go to the Showcase Showdown, which when I was a kid, I used to call it a choky because I didn't really speak English. This was before school age. I used to call it a choky. I'm going to win that trip to Aspen. And a motorhome.
I hope that you don't get the showcase with like the dining room furniture.
The dinette set.
Yeah.
And here is a range.
It's always some basic brown
they don't
bullshit.
Call it a stove. They call it a range.
A range.
Here is a brand new KitchenAid range. Here is the microwave. All this could be yours as the Price is Right.
And then they throw in like a jet ski.
Yeah. That's always a Showcase Showdown nobody wants. That you're there and you're like, do you really think I'm going to get this? And then, of course, if you're the second person, te jodiste. You got stuck with it.
Right, that's it.
Because what everybody wants is the car.
Or a trip.
But it's always the car.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. It could be like the cheapest, a brand new Nissan Versa that you'll be like, if it was a freaking Ferrari, you will lose your shit. If I go on the Price is Right and I get to the Showcase Showdown and the car is a Nissan Versa, I will like scream and jump up and down.
You will never see anybody happier to get a Nissan than you that day.
Be like, sure. And I can just imagine calling my family, I want a Nissan Versa.
Pero ¿cómo que te ganaste un carro? ¿Dónde tú estás?
Okay, this needs to happen.
I will check to see if there's any ticket openings because I think Price is Right is it's a combination of tickets, but then you also just wait in line as we saw, like similar to the sitcom thing.
Well, as long as it's easier to get into than SNL, then we're good.
I think heaven is easier to get into than SNL.
So anyway, bueno, everybody. So join us next week for our LA episodes. But as always, what's her? We hope you listen, laughed, and learned. This is going to be on the blooper reel. We hope you listen. And, I only forgot after 248 episodes. We hope you listen, laughed, and learned. And as always, remember to grab your croqueta, your pastelito, and your cafecito. And join us next week. Pero let me tell you, goes west. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.